Hey guys, so it's time for another wrap-up and TBR video. Now, I'm not going to really focus that much on my wrap-up because I've been doing reading vlogs lately, and if you've seen those, then you know what I've read and you know what I think about it. But in case you haven't watched them because you don't like reading vlogs or anything, I'm just going to quickly wrap up what I read and then get into what I'm reading during NaNoWriMo and the Femme Fatale Readathon, which is an entire month-long event. So without further ado, here is my wrap-up and TBR. Now, I started this month with a bit of themed reading, and that was because Doctor Who came back to our TV screens and Queen Jodie Whittaker took hold of the TARDIS and made history as the first female Doctor, so I had to read a whole load of Doctor Who books, or at least 2 Doctor Who books, before she took her first steps because I needed it, and I was in such a Doctor Who mood, I had to. And I started with the Missy Chronicles, which is 5 mini-stories all to do with Missy, who is the Master, or at least the female version of the Master, and I adored this. I thought it was so good. It was on point characterisation. I have not seen anybody do Missy as well as this. Obviously, I haven't read that many Doctor Who books with her in, but I felt like this was so on point for Missy as a character. I absolutely loved it, and my favourite story out of this was Girl Power. It was hilarious. It was totally on point and totally chaotic like Missy is, and I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I gave this book a 5 stars. I then went on to Time Lord Fairy Tales, which is basically fairy tales from our world with a Time Lord twist. So maybe the Sontarans turned up, or there was vampires, or Cybermen, or just the Doctor got involved in some way, and I absolutely loved this. Everything was a bit abrupt compared to the Missy Chronicles with how it ended, but I didn't really mind it that much, and I absolutely loved guessing which Doctor was turning up in a few stories, because he didn't turn up in all of them, he only turned up in a few of them, and it was great fun trying to figure out which one it was. Also, the illustrations in here were gorgeous. I loved the illustrations as well, even though they were only in black and white, and I love the little silhouettes where you could clearly tell which Doctor they were on about. I absolutely loved this. The first story was my favourite because it had Weeping Angels, and Weeping Angels are by far my favourite Doctor Who villain. That's including Daleks and Cybermen. I just love the Weeping Angels. They're terrifying, but I love them, and I gave this one a 5 stars as well. I then went on and read City of Ashes, which is the second Mortal Instruments book, and I really quite enjoyed this one as well. I was really quite worried going into this because I knew it was going to be a bit of a love story, and I am not a love story person. Anyone who knows me will tell you that I do not like love stories, and I really hate love triangles, and I knew that there was going to be a love triangle in this and a love story, but in the end it actually wasn't too bad. It didn't take over the entire story, and that's what I really liked, because you still had so much action going on throughout this entire book that I didn't actually mind the sort of mopey love triangle-y bit in the middle of it that kept on popping up. It was more tolerable because there was a whole lot of stuff going on. There was like battles and all the rest of it going on, and plot twists and everything. It was just a lot better than I was expecting it to be. I was really dreading it going in, but I was pleasantly surprised, and in the end I gave this one a 4 stars. I then went on to read volume 6 of Spider-Man v Deadpool, the Spider-Man-Deadpool team-up. I never know if it's actually versus or if it's just a team-up, because half the time they seem to be wanting to fight each other and half the time they're teaming up, so I just call it Spider-Man and Deadpool at this point. And this one's called WLMD in the UK, but in America it's something else. Can't remember what it's called. I can never remember what it's called, but in the US it's called something different, and I don't know why. But I really enjoyed this one as well. I found this really quite fun, and the plot twist in it with Peter's parents was really interesting. I loved seeing the LMDs in this as well, because after watching Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., I love the idea of LMDs, because that series is possibly my favourite series of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., because the LMD element was just so interesting and fun to read, and just generally I really enjoyed seeing it in comic form and seeing Spider-Man and Deadpool fight all of the like Avengers and the X-Men as LMDs and stuff. It was just really interesting. I gave this one a 4 stars as well. Then for my Halloween reading, I finally read Skullduggery's Pleasant Dark Days. Yes, I finally pulled my finger out and finally read Skullduggery. It's only taken me a year, or at least 11 months to get here, and I'm so glad I finally picked this up, because oh my god, this was a hell of a ride. There was necromancy, there was a whole load of danger, there was fun quips and all the rest of it. It was everything I wanted in a skullduggery pleasant story and more. I have to say I was slightly confused for some of this because I was sitting there going, who are you? Because I forgot half the characters. Obviously I remembered Skullduggery and Valkyrie, Tanith, China and Ghastly. I just couldn't remember everybody else, like Sanguine and all the rest of them. I completely forgot who half of them were and what their powers were, but I quickly caught up, as I do, and really enjoyed this. One thing I didn't like was the Fletcher and Valkyrie love story ending, because I'm a bit like, do we have to? This is so good, it doesn't need a love story in the middle of it, but I know where this story's kind of going now with Valkyrie as a character and the necromancy stuff, so I'm not particularly worried because I trust Derek Landy with this series to just keep on that storyline and hopefully not focus on the romance, but here's fingers crossing. I'm praying here. And then I didn't actually read Mortal Coil, which is the 6th book in the Skullduggery series, because I'm now planning on reading that next month or this month when this is uploaded. So instead, I read Legion, The Many Lives of Stephen Leeds by Brandon Sanderson instead. And wow, I really liked this. I was expecting more TV show Legion because that's the only Legion I know with multiple personality disorder and schizophrenia and stuff. Stephen in this actually has aspects instead of schizophrenia or dissociative identity disorder, and he's very clear that he has neither of those conditions. And he's not crazy, he's not insane, he just works slightly different to everybody else, and he just sees these aspects. And it was so interesting and so fun in places. I love seeing Stephen interact with his different aspects and how he interacted with the world and how he went on missions and how each mission had a sci-fi twist. The first 2 stories were my favourite. The third one I'm still iffy on. I only finished reading this at time of filming like half an hour ago, and I'm still thinking about the last story because I'm not quite sure if I like the ending. That's my problem. I really don't know if I like the ending. It's iffy. I like how it gave Stephen hope at the end of it, but I feel like it was a bit rushed and a bit short, and it needed just a little bit more sort of explanation to it and a bit more info in the middle of it, just to sort of pad it out a bit, make me not feel confused. I don't know if it's just because I'm really tired and I've been tired while I've been reading this, so I've missed bits or what. I'm just not sure about the final story, and I'm especially not sure about how it ends and how it wraps up Stephen's entire story. I felt like I wanted something else from it. I don't know, I'm still on the fence about it, but either way, I did give this book a 4 stars because I love the characters, I love the world, I love the lore. It's just the final story I'm not entirely sold on. On to November now, and obviously November is NaNoWriMo. I am taking part in it. I'm just very not sure on my success rate this month because 1, my mum's having an operation in the middle of it, which means I'm going to be looking after her for like a week. 2, I haven't written like anything substantial in months now, and I feel like I've got writer's block. And 3, I'm stuck. I'm really stuck, but either way I wanted to give it a go anyway because I haven't skipped a year yet, and maybe this is enough to kick my ass back into gear. But at the same time I did want to do a readathon, and all the other readathons of this month were really sort of intense and had very specific challenges and stuff. But the Femme Fatale Readathon is more about reading books about strong women you admire, which I think I can do. It's also got video challenges and Instagram challenges and Twitter challenges, which means that my videos for this month are now already planned, which takes a hell of a lot off my mind anyway, so I decided to take part, and I've got quite a few books here. I'm not planning on getting through all of them, obviously, because it is November, but I'm going to try anyway. But all of these books are either written by a woman I admire or want to get into their writing, or it's got characters in here that I admire for their strength or their powers or whatever. First thing I'm going to be reading is AVX, because I admittedly forgot to say that I had read Messiah War last month and I gave that 4 stars. But anyway, that's another continuation on from the House of M storyline, and this is another massive part of the House of M storyline. It's another massive binder, but I think this should be a reasonably quick read because it is a comic and I always get through these rather quickly. And while this is Avengers v X-Men, it does also centre around Hope, who is the sort of mutant messiah, and also Phoenix and a couple of other really cool female characters. You've also got Shuri in here as the Black Panther and a few other of my favourite female Marvel characters, so I thought I'd put it on my TBR. I've then also got the final 2 Percy Jackson books because I really like Annabeth as a character and I love her strength and how she's really down to fight, but at the same time she wants her own life and she has her own wants and needs. And so I really quite like that about her, because usually in these kind of things the girl only sort of wants to fight and has no real personality, but I find that Annabeth has a really compelling personality in this, so I thought I'd put like these 2 on the list and try and finish them, though if I'm honest, if I only read one, I won't be entirely angry with myself as long as I read at least one of them. I've then also got City of Glass, which is the 3rd book in the Mortal Instruments trilogy, and again this is for Isabel, not so much Clary. I'm not exactly a fan of Clary, but I really like Isabel and the rest of the Lightwood women and the other women in this series, so I wanted to put this one on the list as well, also because I think Sandra Clare is such an awesome writer as well. I really wasn't sure on her writing before I started reading these books, but I now have come to really admire her and her work ethic and how much she writes in a year and how well her stories all interweave together, and that's why this one's on the list. Also, I'm going to continue with Skullduggery Pleasant, so I've also got Mortal Coil here because Valkyrie is such a cool character. I love her friendship with Tanith Lowe as well, and I love China in this. They're such powerful, strong women in every sense of the word, and I think this one focuses more on Valkyrie as a character and her journey throughout the rest of the series and sort of kicks off the new storyline of the rest of the series, so I wanted to put this one on the list. I've also wanted to put The Boneless Mercies on this list because this is one of the new books I've got and it's all about warrior women and it's written by a woman, so I thought Femme Fatale Readathon, talking all about powerful women, this had to go on the list. Then I've also got Every Heart a Doorway because I finally bought this book. It's written by a woman and also there's an asexual female main character in this, as well as a whole load of other female characters, and obviously it's a rather short book, so I should be able to get through this one quite quickly when I just need to read something, but I don't have that much time to dedicate to reading. And then finally, I've got Tempest and Slaughter by Tamora Pierce. Now, I've put this one on the list because it's written by a woman who is one of the forerunners in her field, and I just really like that, and I really want to emulate that, well not emulate that, but I really look up to female fantasy writers because fantasy seems to be such a male dominated world, so I wanted to read more from female writers, and I thought this one would be a really good place to start because A, I just bought it, and B, it sounds like a really cool fun fantasy. It is a bit chunky, but like I said, if I get to it, I get to it. If I don't, I don't. I'm not particularly putting that much pressure on myself this month, even though it is a readathon, it is NaNoWriMo, and that is my main focus. But right now I'm going to go because I've got to edit this tomorrow, which is the first day of NaNoWriMo, and I'm really scared. So I'm going to go now so I don't have that much to edit. I'm already at 18 minutes, so I'm going to have to edit that down a bit, but I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please do give me a thumbs up, comment down below if you're taking part in NaNoWriMo, or if you've read any of these books, or if you're taking part in the Femme Fatale Readathon, tell me all of that down below so we can encourage each other and really sort of celebrate NaNoWriMo and a Femme Fatale Readathon and all the rest of it and all the women in our lives. I'll also leave a link down below to all of my social media if you want to check it out. And if you want to see any more of my videos, please click subscribe here. And over here will be the link to my previous video. But until next time, guys, bye!